Yeah.
Great. Okay. Let's call this meeting to order at 4:39, special meeting of the Cromwell Board of Education. And can we have roll call? Is roll call completed already? You did it as we walked in, right?
Are we sure?
Nope, if you checked everyone off, we're good.
I think you guys have to share this one. Looks like there's, but you get, there's two that you.
All right, so we'll have an approval of the agenda. There are no additions or deletions, but for review purposes, we do have an executive session, and we do have to take a look at the DATCO contract and some other contracts for executive session tonight. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion.
I heard Catherine. Second by Jen. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries. The agenda is approved. Any correspondence, Dr. Macri? I have none.
None.
Okay. Public comments? I don't see anyone. Reports of liaisons from Town Council, Board of Finance, Cromwell Middle School Building Committee, and Fields Committee. So we have no one from Town Council, no one from Board of Finance. We do have a report from the Building Committee, reference A in your packets. Since then, just to keep everyone updated, the Planning and Zoning meeting will meet again on the 18th to continue asking questions about the building project and in hopes of approving it at that meeting. So that's new from this. Other than that, I just wanted to point out that the building chair, Rosanna Glenn, also mentioned that we will have an approval in September at our September meeting for the next phase. So we'll have that coming up. Do we have anything on Fields, Catherine?
No, we have not met.
Okay. All right, then we'll move on to superintendent's updates and responses to Board of Ed comments, action items from the prior meeting.
Okay, just a few things. We're closing out our finances, and Ann will talk to you a little bit about that when she comes up. It's a moving target. We still have bills that we have to pay, so she'll explain to you in a couple of weeks, trying to nail down the final number. We are in great standing with hiring. We're not seeing a lot of resignations, which is great. I think a lot of it has to do with the negotiating of our new contract and a lot of our contracts. So very little so far. I'm not saying that won't change between now and the beginning, the beginning of the year. It could possibly change, but so far, so good. And we've hired most of our people. We are in the process of hiring just a few people. We actually hired one person today. Well, I haven't met with them officially yet, but we're in good standing. We're in a good place. Michelle's doing a great job. The administrators are doing a great job with getting everybody on board as soon as we possibly can. We're getting ready for convocation already. We actually start early on, and PD is all set for those first 2 days. Tons of legislation has passed. We will meet with Jessica Ritter to review all of that legislation and all the new stuff that's coming out. We just made the date. It's in September. You'll all be back to work. But if you want to come and sit and listen when we actually review this, she reviews it with us. It's really good for you to hear. But it will be during the day in September, and I can't remember the exact date, but I'll get it to you. There are so many things that are happening, new legislative things that are, it's going to make it difficult for us. But we knew that. So it's somewhat prepared. The only good thing is some things have been pushed out to 24, 25, but some things have not. We haven't heard about our waiver yet, our right to read waiver. That is, we are supposed to know, hopefully by now. We don't. We haven't received anything at all.
Have others, do you know?
No, only Bristol did, and I don't know if they were like a, I don't know why they got their news so quickly. It was good news. Okay. Yes, their waiver passed, but no one else has received any information on it. What else did I want to update you on? That's pretty much. Oh, and today, and I'll talk a little bit about. So there's a couple things we can talk about during executive public session for the SRO armed security situation, and then when it comes down to talking about the safety and security piece, we'll go into executive session and I'll fill you in with a little bit more. But I did meet with the police chief. He came right down today with some news to share with me. So I'll fill you in on that. And that's pretty much it. Otherwise, everything else is on the agenda.
Okay, any questions? Catherine?
When Jessica Ritter gives that training update on the new legislation, will there be like an overview for us or anything if we're unable to attend it, since it is during the day?
We could have her come, and I don't, honestly, I don't know.
Is she
I
doing
can ask.
slides or anything?
She does, yeah, and she goes over the newest stuff. And I could have her come actually to a board meeting and do it.
Because a lot of the new legislation ends up hitting our budget.
Yeah.
Or other
Yeah.
areas that we question, and then we look foolish saying, well, it's new legislation.
It's so much. It's
Wouldn't
so
it go
much
out in like the CABE highlights too, though?
It will. And then CABE has opportunities for you to go to, like CABE and
Right.
listen again.
They're
if you want
during
me
the
to
day.
yeah, everything's during the day.
Which
If you
is-
want me to bring Jess in to review all of the changes and everything we have to do at night, I don't actually think it's a bad idea for you. So
Let's just check on what CABE offers first because
Yep.
they're
because we do have
included.
to pay. Yeah, we have
Yeah,
to
we
pay
have to
for
pay for her, so I'd prefer
when
not
we
to.
get the packet, and we haven't gotten the finalized packet, I usually get a packet from Shipman with everything that's updated. I'll send it to you. It'll only be about 100 pages of reading, legal stuff, and even though we look at it, we're like, what is this? But yeah, you let me know. and
You're
I'm
looking
sure
for
she's
just
more
a
than happy.
snapshot, I assume.
Yes.
Of, yeah.
Yeah, and she'll give a, when she does the presentation for us, she does come with a PowerPoint, and I could send that on to you guys too.
That would probably be more than enough
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah.
I don't think we need like a full training or anything.
Yeah, I could send that on. Early in September, she's coming. She just can't make it for admin retreat. She's on vacation, so she'll be.
Not to get into those things, but one thing I did hear, and I wanted to ask if it's accurate, is that the minimum age for going to kindergarten is changing to 5. That's going to change a lot for our preschool program.
I was just starting to read about that the other day. It comes with so much that I don't even understand it because it's mixed with early childhood education, so even before you come to school. 24, 25, you have, by January 24, you have to be age 5 to come to school to enroll. So this year we're all set, but then when we, 4.
September though, right?
By,
You have to be, yes, by September.
31st, you have to be.
It's by September 1st, I think.
Oh,
You have to be 5 by January, I believe, with this new legislation. Is it January,
It's
September?
September 1st, and there's a waiver that you have to approve if they can get in earlier than that. Otherwise, they got to wait for. That has to go
Oh,
through
see,
the
look, you
principal.
read it even
Yeah,
more
that was an
thoroughly
occurrence.
than
I'm
me.
waiting on occurrence, and that's what it said.
I know, I don't know if that's why I get nervous reading it in newspapers, because I don't even,
It said September
first.
Yeah.
They're so,
I spoke about some of this legislation.
oh, did you?
Do you
Oh,
two-
good, yeah,
do you
you
two
may
have your
know more
mics-
than.
Matt, is your mic on? Alan, was yours?
So just from the top of my head, from what I remember from the discussions before it actually went through. Currently, if a child turns 5 by January 1st, they can start that school year and turn 5 during the
Oh,
school
yeah,
year.
yes. Agreed.
That's changing. It's going to be
Right.
September 1st. The
And
only
then-
way, so they have to be 5 by September
September,
1st. So
yes.
it's, you're
You're
gonna have
right.
a number of, and the reasoning behind it is emotional maturity,
Yeah.
academic readiness, that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
they're finding that younger students, and a number of studies have shown this, struggle academically, socially, because they kind of started too young. So that's where this all came from.
So it'll be interesting to see how it impacts us. There's money tied to it, and I don't know how it's going to be tied to us since we're a district that offers pre-K. What will that look like for our pre-K? We get Smart Start grant, but not for everything. So will we get more money so we can have more kids in pre-K, but then we don't even have the space? So it's going to be a
That's where my
very-
head was going. There'd be
Yeah.
bigger class sizes.
Are we going to have bigger class sizes? We don't have enough space for more classrooms.
And then
Will
less
we
in
even be
kindergarten.
eligible? Yeah, less
It
in
also
kindergarten.
appears
Will
to
we
put
be
more
eligible?
pressure on the elementary principal, because the only way a student can get in around that September 1st date, where they would turn 5 during that school year, is it has to go to the principal, and the principal has to
Yeah.
approve that individual child.
And then once you approve one, it's,
Right. Well, and then what? I
How do
don't.
you-
I
and
don't
what
know
data
what
do you
kind of
use?
determining factors there are. Right. So I
Exactly.
don't know
What
what
do you
the.
use for-
I'm assuming that's going to come out with some of the guidance, but
yeah, I hope so. Because right now, just glancing at it, literally glancing at it, I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun. Yeah, it's not
I
going
think the current put out at 9,000, this affects of 9,000 students in the state. So
And that's the
this,
kids I
this
know.
kindergarten class might dive, but the next one's gonna,
It's going to be
be
a little
higher.
bit of a nightmare, but we're going to figure it out. But I am really nervous about what it will do to our pre-K program, and then what it'll do to our kids who may not be able to access. There may be money out there for other programs to open, right? But then, what does that look like with before care and after care?
At the
and
same
all of
time, a whole
this?
bunch of early childhood grants are expiring and not being renewed, so
I know.
money that was available to preschools, private preschools included, is now evaporating.
Yeah.
And now there's going to be a need for more of it because you're going to have potentially more kids
Yeah.
in preschool for a longer period of time, an extra year.
Yeah, and we heard there's money tied to it, but none of us know how much and what it
No.
means or any of it. So, yeah, that's our next big hurdle, and hopefully Jess will know more. But I really do think that they haven't worked out the details since with the financial piece of it. Yeah, that's definitely happening. 24, 25, unless they push it out in the next. But it's too late, really, if you think about it.
Well, not a terrible idea overall. It's just quick.
No, it's just going to be,
happening
and it's going to
fast.
be really hard for families because I get it 100%. I think we've just become so reliant, right? Is that now this is
You're
when
taking
school's
the
going to
choice away
start.
from families.
Yeah, there's a lot, and
I just
don't
think
know-
teachers are always looking at their list to see who's going to be 4. So I feel like it's a positive in that sense. I mean, you want to be 5, and
in that
mine
sense,
wasn't,
you'll
but-
probably it'll move, and it'll be more age appropriate. But then it's going to be really hard for parents
Mm-hmm.
and the financial piece of it of staying in.
well, no, because they'll be in our preschool
Oh.
instead for next
Right,
year.
and I don't even know where I'm going to put them. But you're right. They're, just thinking what you said. Like I'll have less kindergartners, so then will I need more preschool teachers?
Mm-hmm.
And my preschool teachers and kindergartners don't necessarily have the same certification.
Right.
So yeah, this is going to be fun.
All right. Presentations and report of administration. We have the 2022-2023 budget update, reference B in your packet. And Ms. Burke is here if anyone has any questions on that. Does anyone have any questions? Did you want to come up and give a summary or only take questions? You gave a summary in writing, so it's up to you.
Hi. I just did a brief summary for you as usual. As Enza already mentioned, we're still paying invoices for the 22-23 year. We're waiting for a lot of our outplacements to do their June billing. So we have quite a few special education things that we're still paying out, as well as facility-related items and repairs and things like that that were ongoing in June. So we do have, quite a bit of money still encumbered, but usually by the end of July, we have most of it cleaned up, and we still usually have some stragglers in August that we're kind of chasing down. I usually start the state report at the beginning of August, the EFS report, and that usually takes me 2 or 3 weeks, and it's due on September 1st. So all this data from this year will be put into that report, and every school district does do that.
Great, thank you. Any questions? None? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Move on to new business. And in new business, we have discussion of SROs and armed security officers. So, Dr. Macri, do you want to open?
I was asked to put together a proposal. Michelle and I and Lori looked for the median of what the cost of armed security officers would be, and we just put the calculations together at 183 school days. We calculated about 7 hours per day at the rate of $35 an hour. And so the salary for one armed security guard would be about close to $45,000. This is banking on that they would not take benefits if we have to offer benefits if these, and they will be, they have to be retired police officers. They tend not to, but we never want to take anything for granted. So I want to make sure I let you know. And this just shows you the breakdown if we were to add 1, if we were to add 2, 3, 4. And I just want to make it clear, there are a lot of challenges, and it looks very different with armed security guards versus SROs that go into it. And I knew, and I read about it, and Jessica Ritter talked to us about it, but until we did it, it was very difficult for me to kind of comprehend. But it's not an easy task, and especially I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses, and I'm not alone as the superintendent to say, you know, overseeing the training and everything that needs to be done for armed security guards is my strength. We would really need, a lot of the districts that are moving to fully armed security guards have directors of security, and I am understanding 100% why that is important. So I put that in there as well. But we could talk more about what that would look like in executive session, because we would really be talking about what it would look like at every school and that. But I wanted you to have, and the public asked, so I wanted them to have a range of, this is about a cost I'm anticipating, if we were to go with the full thing, is close to a $300,000 cost that we would, you know, we'd have to figure out how to pay for or go to the Board of Finance. And then some possible additional costs are, like I talked about, would they be entitled to medical and dental benefits? And that cost would be between $10,500 and $26,500, depending on the employee requests. So this is a proposal, just so you know financially what this looks like, and then what it looks like truly in our schools as far as security and safety. I could talk to you about in an executive session, so we don't, you know, we want to make sure we don't share security stuff with.
Just to clear, I think you did say this at the beginning, but these are for retired officers. Down here says security guards, but you're calling them armed security
Yeah.
guards, so all officers are talking about. We're not in any way talking about just regular guards.
No, you would, these are armed. If we wanted to do not armed, right now, we would have to negotiate. I don't even know if we would have to negotiate. We have hall monitors at the high school, and we don't call them security guards, but that's pretty much a lot of what they do. I think the whole purpose of when you don't have you tell me if I'm wrong, the whole purpose of the armed was to make sure there was somebody armed in the building if, God forbid, something should happen. So not having an armed security guard has tons of benefits, but it won't help us in the true, you know, in the true emergency of a real danger. And I think that's what we were talking about last time. It would be less. We probably would be talking more about, like, I hate to say it out loud because I don't know 100% sure of what, and I don't know if Michelle and I actually found an average of unarmed. They would most likely, we'd have to renegotiate. I think they would maybe, yeah, we'd have to bargain for that. So I can't give you a price. Change the job description, bargain. This is just armed, and it would have to be retired police officers in order to get these positions.
So SROs are out, right?
I just want to give a quick summary for Kelly because she just walked in. We're going to talk more in depth about this during executive session, but this is just the financial, what it would look like to hire 1, 2, 3, or 4. But I just want to give you a chance to look it over too. I saw a question from Lori. Did you have a question?
You referenced the hall monitors at the high school. I just remember conversation from another meeting when we were talking about paras. Are we shifting that, getting away from hall monitors? Are we still having hall monitors? Or
We would like to have shift away from it and go to security. We'd have to bargain that.
but I thought there was a couple of hall monitors that you were going to move into para positions. I know we don't want to talk too much in detail, but I guess my question is, will we have hall monitors at the high school?
As of today, we will definitely, it'll still be hall monitors. If I could negotiate and restructure, depending on everything that happens, we might have to rewrite job descriptions, have people apply, make them unarmed security guards. But as of now, I think keeping them the way they are as hall monitors is probably what's best. And if looking at our student population, if we have to hire more paras for kids with IEPs or whatever we need them for, we're going to have to do that.
Because the way it is now, some of those hall monitors are able to make the transition into a para position when we need it, and there's flexibility there. If
If I change it, then there's
no,
No.
that's a totally separate position. It's
Yep, and I don't have to bargain. Yeah, everything you're saying is exactly what I've been thinking.
okay.
Yep, we're on the same page.
So as of right now, that we still have
We
hall
still
monitors.
have, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, Yep, and they could train, like you said, and they have, and it's been good.
But there's very different training for a hall
There's
monitor
so
versus
much
a
different-
guard.
Yes, such different training if we move to that model, and we,
Do you still need someone to oversee it if it's an unarmed person? I was curious.
no, nope, if it's an unarmed person, then we would be fine with having security guards that are unarmed, that works with the principal. It's not that I don't see value in that, because I do. We're a small district. If we were a larger district, and a lot of districts, oh gosh, there's so many things I can't, just because of sharing it and.
Do you want to talk
with
more about it
security.
later?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
So that I don't share security.
Were there any other questions that were more general? Kelly?
Sorry, and I don't know if they were covered, but what was the shared cost of SROs that we were paying?
So Eon
Per
is-
year.
I'm sorry, do they pay for the town, does the town pay for one or half?
Pays for one.
The town pays for.
So we were paying for one.
We were paying
So what was that cost?
90,
Okay, so this would really be like a 230,000 increase to what we were spending if we had all three, or all four schools. The Director of Safety and Security, are there any schools where that role is dual with
that's what I
armed?
would want to do. Yes.
So that would potentially cut that cost
Cut
down
that,
as well?
yes. Yep.
Understood, thank you.
Yep.
Explain what you mean by that, though.
One of the four.
They would be the director, they would run the whole program, but they would also cover one of the schools. So they would be one of the four.
Okay.
So,
So it would be less, I mean, I'm
Gotcha.
sure that person would have a higher salary, but it would not be that full
and I would call
increase.
him, I would call him a coordinator and make it a coordinator position, and then I'll talk to you a little bit about, we have had a resignation, so kind of restructuring the department a little bit to to show savings, because, looking at our Director of Operations position a little bit differently too.
Okay. Were there any other questions for now? All right, then we'll move on from this topic, and we'll switch to, you also have in front of you an amendment to the Transportation Agreement Summary. So we have discussion and possible action on the DATCO contract.
So I have Ann here as well. So we have been negotiating with DACO for quite a few months, and we are there as far as financials. There's just a couple points with language that our council would like to see in there, but has never been in there, and their council is saying they've never had it in another contract, so they don't want it. It's not the end-all, be-all. It's something that we would like to see. It's not going to stop us from moving forward, but I still want to kind of talk about that language with them. But these are the big highlights of it. So really, 5-year contract that would start again July now until the 30th, June 30th, sorry, of 28. And these are our percentage increases. They were higher. We worked and worked and worked. They switched the 4.5 from year 1 to year 2 and 3 for us, because we didn't know how we were going to land this year. And talking to other superintendents, this is pretty much where they're landing, or even slightly higher. So I do believe our total increase, it's high, but we know that it's high, and it's not as high as it could be. Sub-districts are paying a lot more.
Did we assume
So-
4% when we budgeted?
Yes, Ann can come up and talk about what she has budgeted. The good thing is we are always a district that pays, so if you see the discount for annual payment, we do that. So we end up paying a lower rate because we pay ahead of time. So any questions, we do receive that $15,000 credit by paying by check. We do everything that we can to make sure that we end up with just a 7.5% reduction over the life of the contract versus the full, paying the full 21%.
And before we take questions, did you have anything you want to add about how you budgeted for this?
I budgeted at 4%.
At 4%,
So it's
okay.
exactly what we anticipated.
Okay, great. So Catherine, you had a question?
I know that we pay separately it's not the general base number for outside activities, but we have had issues with them in busing. Is there a penalty clause in there, or anything that we can hold them accountable, even for our regular busing?
No.
Did we try for that?
We've tried for a lot of things, and a lot of other districts did too. And because of it's the shortage and everything else, none of us will get it. I think as hard as much as we suffered, considering some other districts couldn't even get their kids to school, I think we did okay. Constant communication, a relationship where I'm so grateful for, because I've had a relationship with Andrea for 20 years. It's never been easy. I know every day between Kelly and myself and Andrea and everyone else who's trying to get these buses going, there's not really much we can do. The only thing they did allow us to do, which is, they had no choice really, is they always got first dibs because they were less, right? But they used to be really not happy with us when we would go with somebody else because we may have gotten a better price. That's not really legit, but it is legit with certain things. At this point, we will go with whoever will take us, and we have good relationships with M&J and First Student, but it was not any cheaper. It was more expensive. They knew they could get it, so they did get it. No, yes, we did talk about all that. We tried to put in some language about a few other things, and I'm trying to remember some of the stuff of if they can't get.
Well, it's in terms of the trouble with doing the extra trips. Our focus is always getting the kids to school. And I will say, although it may have felt painful, I had very few requests to go to an outside vendor. I can maybe think of 2 or 3. So in the grand scheme of what other
We were biting our
districts,
fingernails to the end
it was
of it.
difficult, and it was hard on Kelly to try to really make that happen. In the end, it was like I said, it was maybe 2 or 3 times that I had to approve an quote and an invoice to another bus company. So I don't think that, I think we were I think Cromwell was very fortunate, and I think Dadco worked very hard, and we were always in contact with M&J, who was very accommodating when they could, but you have to remember they're short on drivers, and they have to get their school's kids to sports too. So
We prioritize varsity sports, but there's plenty of other things that are happening where kids have been left and parents find out an hour, maybe 2 if they're lucky, beforehand that their kid is not going to be going to this event because there's no bus. It's incredibly challenging for parents because they now have to figure out how they're getting home. If they're not a bus kid or whatever, it's a very, very difficult thing to manage. So maybe for the varsity sports, we didn't have that many problems, but in other areas, we definitely did.
Yeah,
We had to leave our what are they called? Unified sports team. Had no bus one time. So there's a lot of areas that we did miss out on because we had no bus. That's why although we had our kids at school, we didn't have to worry about that, but there are other aspects that was very, very challenging. And our varsity sports made it, but not everybody else did.
So what we could do, because this doesn't have to be the end-all, be-all, I still believe, with all the problems with busing and everything else, I still believe this is the best we're going to get. We could just say, 1-year contract, they may increase the 4, and we could go out to bid, get an RFP and go out to bid, but
It's not going to be better anywhere else.
my colleagues are just as frustrated with M&J and with First Student and everything else. That's why I say, I hear you, we don't have to stick with this. We could do 1 year and try to put it out to bid, RFP. But I don't think we're going to get any better. And I believe me, I would love to be able to say, you don't show up. It's just.
What about reimbursement for those times that they did miss? Do they
We
not
don't
charge us
pay
for it
that.
at least?
We don't
Okay.
get charged. Yeah, so we don't
Okay.
pay for any of that. And
Like,
that's,
to that point, is there any penalty? Catherine, if I'm understanding, they're saying they're going to show up and then they don't, and parents have an hour to figure out transportation.
yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
Or it just,
very,
just got canceled.
yeah, or it'll get canceled and rescheduled.
Yeah, like there was
Or sometimes just.
no unified sports away trips this year, not one, which was that's not okay. I mean, it's just saying that they're at the bottom of the priority. Like they never one other trip to another school, and that's just not okay.
Yeah.
And it's not even like they still had it and asked parents, would you be willing to drive? They just canceled it.
Yeah.
So you're telling these kids are doing these activities, and then you're dealing with kids with disabilities who don't totally understand. You know, you're getting their hopes up, you're prepping them, and then, oh, sorry, you're not going. And, you know, it's, just to Catherine's point, I appreciate you bringing that up, because that, yeah.
And even difficult when so we used to be able to, when we were younger, right? We could pick up 5 kids and bring them. You can't even do that. It's such a huge responsibility. I agree with all of that. We were talking about, we have 2 small vans. Can we do 2 shifts? We talked about things that were crazy. Like, we couldn't believe we were actually talking about it. And that's a terrible reality. I will do whatever, because this is your jurisdiction. We could do 1 year, because it's close up. But I don't know if they'll leave us at that 4% if we just do 1 year, and then we would have to go out to RFP. And I just
Is
don't
this
think we're
a
gonna do any
non-issue?
better.
Are they assuring you that there's no longer the shortage and that things
Oh,
are getting
no,
better, or
they're
it's
not.
still
No,
it's still
they-
bad?
They are, I feel like we thought we were going to be in a worse situation. Kelly was prepared for really bad. Like, she thought we were going to have to reschedule varsity games and only play home games and do it during the day, and poor Kelly. But we didn't. It was less impact than we thought. She was truly thinking we were going to have a way worse of an impact. We're fully staffed for Cromwell, for school, but it's whoever gets the jobs, for outside activities. So even if we are fully staffed for athletics, there's not enough people on staff for Cromwell to get everybody to where they need to go. There's so many different things going on at once between middle school and high school. You just can't get them everywhere. So we have to use our people, and then whatever other, if they're working with Middletown, if we have an activity and they don't. But the chances of that happening in spring, it's every day. There's an activity or 3 or 5 activities every single day in every district. So I thought this through. I talked this through with my superintendent group. We all are feeling like the same exact thing. And everything you're saying, it's wrong. We agree. But the reality is that I don't know if we're going to do any better. But we could try. I mean, there's nothing that says we can't try.
I just think not that we should go someplace else and get a better rate. I think there should be a penalty for you missing.
Couldn't even get them to. There was one other thing that I wanted that was kind of penalizing in a different way. And
If you cancel the day of,
I know.
within 3 hours of the event
Yeah.
or something, like it's
You owe us, or
It's a struggle.
I know. I could.
But they'd go out of business.
try. They would
So,
go out of business.
I don't
Yeah,
think we'll agree to
I
that.
do appreciate poor Andrea, and she's lovely. She's lovely. I said I've been working with her for 20 years. 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm screaming at her. She's screaming back at me. It's a wonderful relationship, because that's what you need at 4 a.m. I'm like, I don't know what we're gonna do. And she completely goes out of her way to help Cromwell as much as she can. And I really do believe that with her. She'll do anything to help us. But it's just the business right now, and it stinks. And I hope it gets better. They've worked with the State Department about the checks, like running those checks through much more quickly. That's been huge. They've increased their pay rate. They pass it down to us. That's been huge. All these things that they're doing to try to make it, they're working with the Connecticut State Department of Education, because it impacts everything. It impacts our students that come from CREC, our choice students. They have relationships. I don't know how long it's going to take to fix.
Matt, you had a question.
I mean, I'm going to guess at the answer, but these percentage increases are over the previous year, correct? So year 1 is a 4% increase over where we're at now. Year 2, 4.5 over year 1.
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I was clear on that. It seems like it's not, there's no way they're just basing this all off of last year.
Correct.
Okay. And as for, I agree with you 100% that there should be some kind of penalty in place as far as missed pickups or whatever, but I don't know that any transportation company does that for anybody, so I can't imagine.
Not with the people, and poor Ann and I have reached out to so many people. I got a couple of contracts today, because you have to ask them, because they're proprietary, so you have to actually ask the district for them. We've done that because DATCO can't share them, or M&J can't share them. They don't have it in theirs. And even one other thing that I was trying to get in there, no
I
one
mean, would
has
it be fair for it to be in there? Absolutely. Should it
I
be in
would
there?
love-
Yes.
Well, remember what we went through with COVID? We agreed at that 80% rate, the reimbursement rate, and some districts didn't even end up getting that. Oh, we fought till the very bitter end to get that reimbursement rate of 20% back, and we were at the higher, but we waited, because Ann and I were like, let's just keep waiting and see what happens with every other district, and that was good. Some people got reimbursed less money, and that was during COVID. And they won't even put that in there, like if you don't need, just based on the pandemic. We tried that too.
Alan, did you have a question?
Yeah, that 15,000 we're paying by check, is that in addition to the one-time 1.5%?
Yes, but the 1.5 is in every year of the contract. The 15,000
You're
is a
right.
credit in every year of the contract, and if we pay in a one-time payment, it's a 1.5% decrease in every year of the contract.
So instead of going up by 4.5, it'll go up by 3 in those years?
Correct.
But the $15,000 credit, that's just by payment method?
Yes. Because some districts pay by credit card, so DADCO has to pay the credit card fee.
Credit card, that's why, okay.
So if we pay by check,
Check.
we get a $15,000 credit for the year.
I was gonna say, it's a big credit line if you're paying a bus thing on a
I
credit
think,
card.
I think it's very generous,
Yeah,
that
that's-
they're giving us that option.
Yeah.
Because,
Okay, that's,
so I think that's a nice, and they also give us a credit for bus monitors. So if we need bus monitors throughout the year, there's a $20,000 credit for bus monitors as well. So I think the contract is good. I really do. And I think while the increases are higher than the past 5-year contract, if we take advantage of that 1.5%, I don't know, I just think it's a very reasonable request. I would love it to be lower, don't get me wrong.
and there's no separate fuel surcharges or anything built in?
We pay for fuel, and it's stored where they access it, and that's always been in the contract.
So that, if fuel goes crazy, I mean, our busing costs,
Do not.
That's not included in the
We buy the fuel per the contract.
okay.
So it doesn't, DADCO doesn't charge us more if the fuel goes
All right,
up.
so that's a separate contract, not
Separate.
related.
Correct.
So our
And we
our
work with the
busing
town.
expenses could be significantly higher if fuel goes crazy. I mean, you have this, then you gotta add the fuel on top of this.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
We do that in unison with the town. That's like the shared services we do.
Are there any other questions on this? All right, so the motion would be to approve and give the superintendent permission to execute the contract as presented. Is there a motion? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Lori? Okay. And Catherine will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, motion carries. The DATCO contract is approved. On to item C, it's an action item, stipend approval 2023-2024, reference C in your packets. Oh, and both of these should be included in the minutes when we do the minutes, okay.
I wanted to make sure I explained it to everyone, because if you see it and don't have an explanation, it was too hard to tell, so I'll put it in the minutes now.
All right, and so these are the stipends for the whole school year, reflects the new rates that were put in place, right?
This
Okay.
is everything. The nice thing about our contract is, and not necessarily nice for Michelle because it's a ton of work, but it's nice. Everyone has the opportunity to reapply for the job, and if someone is not performing their job well enough, then between the athletic director and the principal, they work together and interview people. This is athletics, clubs, everything. So all of them have been posted.
And they're all filled? Or are there some that are open? There's some that are open? Okay.
Michelle would know.
Lori, go ahead.
I don't know if I'm missing it. I see female tennis, but I didn't see men's tennis on here, boys tennis. Is that because?
That's because the only thing you see there
Are
are positions that are filled. Yeah.
Okay, so you wouldn't leave thank you. 'Cause
Yeah.
I didn't know if you would just leave it on here and leave the employee's name blank.
No.
So, you would add that to this grid?
Yes, every position has been posted. What happens basically is every position that we've received applications for, they've either been interviewed and selected, and what that means is whatever positions are not listed, no one has applied for it as of yet. So what happens is I have reposted already a second time. We wait for a certain amount of period, and then we'll do it again in August because people are gone for the summer. And we'll do it again in August and post again, and then we start getting more applications.
Okay, because that doesn't start until the spring anyway. So.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And then Kelly had a question. Go ahead, Kelly.
I know we questioned this before, but about the middle school ski club or the volleyball that's not here, is that not a stipend?
Or did someone just not apply?
They probably just didn't apply. I don't have it in front of me, but volleyball are you talking about CMS?
Yeah.
Those are intramurals.
Okay. And the ski
We
club too?
don't post intramurals now. We wait until actually later in the fall to post for intramurals.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying that these have already been applied for and approved for next year?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So, I have one question. For some, there's two people. Do they each get that stipend, or they get split it?
They split.
So I know we're in the process of the middle school music director. I see that there's no slot right now for the actual all production. Would that be added after?
We what will happen is I did and if I receive any applications, we'll bring it forward to the next board meeting. If no one applies, I will post again in August. Hopefully, if we get a new person into that position, they'll apply at that time.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to approve the stipends? Alan, is there a second? Dipti, all in favor?
Aye.
And carries, stipends are all approved. All right, move on to item D, approval of minutes and motions from our June 6th, the first of the special meetings that night, reference D. Is there a motion to approve? By Catherine, is there a second? I saw Matt, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Was anyone absent that night and need to abstain? I feel like someone might have
It
been.
was Franklin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were.
Let's see. Yep, it does list you as absent. Okay. All right, motion carries and the minutes are approved. We'll move on to the minutes and motions from the second special meeting on the same night, reference E. Okay. Would you like to make the motion then? By Kelly Franklin. Is there a second? By Alan, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? All right, motion carries. Those minutes are also approved. Moving on to the informational human resources personnel activity, reference F in your packet. Right. There's someone on there twice on the new one? Oh, okay. Okay. All right, were there any other questions on any of these items? Michelle is here if you have questions. Lori, you had a question?
Was that a surprise, the operations position? Like, I don't know, not saying too much, but how does that leave us now? Are we gonna be posting for a new person like ASAP?
Yep. Any other questions on this? All right. Next, we'll move on to the principal reports, G, H, I, and J. Any questions on those? Okay, we have no policies tonight for first read or second read. Board committee reports, nothing for policy, nothing for facilities. Facilities was canceled for tonight. Topics for future agendas and possible action to approve additional topics. I just want to note that ESS update is listed in October because originally we were going to do it every 3 months, but we will also have that update in September, I'm told. Is that still correct? That ESS is listed as October, but we'll have it in September, right?
Yes, so we said we were going to do it every 3 months, but because we changed today to September, then we'll change October to December.
Okay.
So that was just left on there. Lisa will fix it.
Yep.
With the next.
The ESS one?
Yeah, yes.
So that's gonna be in September?
Yes, because Ramsey, Miss Binghamton is very involved, and unfortunately, she couldn't be here this evening. Miss O'Leary could do it, but it's just so much better when you have the actual administrators in the building, too. So we just postponed it.
All right, everything else looks fine to me unless anyone has anything. All right, comments, updates, announcements from board members and administrators. Matt, do you have anything?
Just that I got to not only attend the high school graduation, I got to attend all of the promotional activities for all 4 schools, mostly because both of my kids were in the room. So they were great. They were all really well run, really well organized, and to be honest, one of the nice things was I didn't feel like they went longer than necessary, which was great because it's it's great for the families to go and celebrate, but it doesn't need to be a 3-hour long affair.
Yeah.
Right. So they were all really well done.
Thanks.
Agreed.
Do a nice job.
And thank you for attending. All right, Alan, anything? Jen, Lori, anything else? Henza? No. Catherine?
No, the same as Matt. I went to 2 out of the 4 because I had kids, and moving graduation indoors was required, but it was a huge success. The students all said that they actually enjoyed their graduation. So
That was nice.
it was, they really had a good time. They enjoyed the speeches from some of their classmates, and it was just a very, very big, successful event. So
It was nice.
and not too hot.
Sarah Turner does
She
a
does an
phenomenal job.
amazing
from soup to
job.
nuts. She didn't skip a beat from inside to outside. So I agree.
All right, Kelly. Dipty. Kelly. Okay. Then I'll take a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing the superintendent's self-assessment and review and discussion of directors' individual contracts and also safety and security. Inviting into that, is something wrong, Michelle?
Just invite Michelle in
Oh,
and
okay.
me, and then Michelle will
And,
leave.
yep, so I'll invite in Dr. Macri and Mr. Morrow. And that's it. Is there a motion to go into executive session? Matt, is there a second? Alan, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? We are in executive session as of 5:26. All right, just let me know when we're on. All right, we're back in public session at 8:04, and we have just 2 items to vote on. Is there a motion to approve the Director of Human Resources contract agreement with the amendment we discussed, and also the Director of Financial Services contract agreement as is? By Kelly Franklin, second. Oh, are you writing that down, Catherine? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. They're both approved. And we will adjourn, or is there a motion to adjourn? Motion. Second? Was everybody? Jen, I guess. Lori and Jen. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, motion,